It's never a burden to love or give. The mother is at the heart of everything we do.
These and all your favorite shows are available with Passport. Support your PBS station and stream more with Passport on the PBS app.
You're watching New England Public Media on WGBY Springfield.
Miss Hayward, I heard you had returned to Sanditon.
If he is a man to make you truly happy, you should go to him.
If I lose my inheritance, I lose my independence. You will find the love you deserve.
The young woman has a right to choose her own destiny.
The new season of Sanditon premieres March 19th on NEPM.
Coming up, we're connecting you with the creativity and culture in your community, including a local man who is the source for Western Mass weather.
Hurricane Sandy came along in October of 2012, and I had a couple hundred people on my page, and all of a sudden they were sharing my posts, and I was like, what's going on? And my audience tripled.
Satisfy your sweet tooth with gourmet cookies straight out of the oven.
There's a lot of work that goes into this. I mean, on production day alone on Monday, I made thousands of pounds of cookies dough by myself. Thousands.
And a Berkshire's program that advances solidarity through song takes their act on the road.
The legacy of race relations and racism affects all of us, and we all thus can play a role in dismantling it.
Join us for those stories and more as we explore the creativity, culture, and community that make us Western New England. Up next on Connecting Point.
Support for Connecting Point is provided by our contributing viewers.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us for Connecting Point, your source for creativity, culture, and community. I'm Saidalis Bauer. Every week we explore all that the region has to offer, and today we're coming to you from the banks of the scenic Connecticut River in Hadley, Massachusetts. But our first story takes us just up the road to Florence. Weather is often on people's minds, especially in the winter when snow and freezing temperatures can play havoc with travel and day-to-day routines. For weather forecaster Dave Hayes, talk of snow and sleet gets him excited. And although there hasn't been much to discuss this year, he still has over 52,000 followers who want to know what the weather is going to be tomorrow. NEPM's Monty Belmonte and Khalees Smith met up with Hayes at his home in Florence to learn not only about his love for weather, but also for music.
When did you fall in love with weather? You didn't go to school to be a meteorologist. You didn't get that degree. You were paralegal kind of by trade. Where did your love of weather come from?
It came from, well, it started when I was really young, when I was 7 or 8 years old, and probably 45 years ago, the blizzard of 78 was probably that storm and the storm before that, the Mother's Day snowstorm of 1977 in Eastern Mass. We got a foot of snow on May 9th and May 10th. So I think the snow, I didn't have the most joyous upbringing, shall we say, and so the snow, the cadence of the snow falling was really relaxing and peaceful, so that started it. But then when I was 12 in Metro West, where I grew up, there was severe thunderstorms coming through that day, and I was watching Bob Copeland, who was the morning and noontime meteorologist on Channel 5 WCVB. And so Bob Copeland was talking about severe thunderstorms coming through. He had the radar in back of him. It had all these bright colors, and I was just, something about seeing that was like, I was fascinated by it. And then 5 minutes after he did that broadcast, that weather came overhead. We had severe thunderstorms come overhead. So there's something about those two things together in a short time period, just something clicked. And then I just started watching all the Boston meteorologists. I would sit there when we didn't have remote controls by the TV at 6:14.
Bruce Schwegler.
Yeah, it's Bruce Schwegler. Exactly. Harvey Leonard, Barry Burbank, all those guys.
Yeah.
And so I would sit there and like Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 7 at like 6, and I would just go back and forth to catch all, especially in the winter, to catch all of their forecasts. And I just learned, I gravitated towards the ones that would talk about why the weather was doing what it was doing, as opposed to this is just what we think is going to happen.
So then how did you dig deeper and get so good at explaining these concepts to the general public and tens of thousands of people in our area relying on what you have to say about it?
I think that it's, you know, once cable I think started in the 80s, right? So once I started getting cable in the 90s, then I started watching the Weather Channel, and so then there's a lot. I really liked Mike Seidel and Jim Cantori and another meteorologist there, and learned a lot from that. And then once the internet came online in the mid 90s, then, you know, there was a whole trove of information. Then I hooked into the National Weather Service's website, which is fabulous, and started reading their area forecast discussions, which I still do to this day. That helps me put together my forecast, my reports.
That's another question too. Like, so you don't have a Doppler radar, I'm imagining. So where are you getting that information from?
You can access it from the Weather Service. There's other companies that produce radar imagery and stuff like that. And then I just kind of take all this information and my knowledge of the area and put together my reports and my forecasts, what I think is going to happen, taking into account the microclimates that we have in the region, the hill towns, the valley and stuff, and try to put it out in a way that has, you know, bulleted information up at the top of my report, and also write a longer form discussion. Different people, some people just want a little bit of information, some people want to know what the weather's doing and why, and so that's kind of how I put it together. I started my Facebook page in August of 2011, and then for like the next year and a half, I kind of just did it when I felt like it. And then Hurricane Sandy came along in October of 2012, and I had a couple hundred people on my page, and all of a sudden they were sharing my posts, and I was like, what's going on? And my audience tripled, and then I was like, well, I'll keep doing it. You know, people are finding it useful, and then it got to actually 10 years ago was the blizzard of 2013, and basically at my page went over 1,000 people, and everyone was saying how much it really was helpful to them, and that's something clicked where I was like, I'm going to do this every day now. I'm going to commit to this because I really wanted to be helpful in some way, and then I found a way to do that. And then it was really that. Fast forward to December 2013 into 2014, that winter was incredibly cold and incredibly snowy, and Facebook didn't have its algorithm set up yet to throttle you back. So I was reaching a lot of the people who had liked my page, and it took off, and my audience like quintupled in like 4 months.
The other thing that social media affords you is this live interaction about what is going on weather-wise in very specific locations. People sending you pictures, chiming in. I chime in frequently about what the weather's like in Turners Falls. How does that add to your information gathering, and what's that like being like a collaborative partner with Western Mass when it comes to putting your forecast together?
That's one of the things that I enjoy a lot. Well, it's helpful to me because there's a thing called ground truth, where it's like you put out a forecast, and then, you know, when a storm moves in, especially a winter storm or like a mixed storm with different precipitation types, it's really helpful to hear people from Franklin County, Hampden County, Hampshire, Berkshire, Southern Vermont, Northern Connecticut talk about what they're seeing, so you can see how the storm's actually playing out, and it gives you a clue as to what's kind of happening in the upper middle levels of the atmosphere and stuff. So I love that, and I just love the community aspect of it. You know, it's like people, and other people have told me that they like it too, because if they have to drive somewhere and they got to go to Springfield, but they're living up in Turners or something like that, and so they're like, it helps them figure out.
That's exactly what I have to do.
That's what you do. Exactly. It's for you. Yeah, it's just helpful for people to see, okay, what am I going to, it helps set their expectations a little bit. And I like the community vibe of it, because people will start like talking to each other, like in their little nested comments, like just, you know, aside from what I posted about, and I like that too.
Dave Hayes, you're also a deeply spiritual person. You're a huge fan of Mr. Rogers, as I am, and his sort of whole ethos. You write haikus. You wrote me some beautiful haikus just the other day, which I was really flattered by. You yourself are a musician, and you have even played bass with one of the newest members of the NEPM family, Kelis Smith, and you're going to talk music with Kelis right now.
Excellent. When you started playing in the Valley, who were you playing with?
First band I played with was a band called Minibus. And that was back in like 1992 or something like that. And then I played with a bunch of people in the 90s, including Chet Keefe, who's since moved out of this area. And I played with, for years I played with Mentos and the New Horizon Band, which was awesome because he had this like hyper rock funk kid. That's what I loved, like Red Hot Chili Peppers and playing like fast and funky. And he was a reggae musician, you know, from the Caribbean. He was just like, he had to smooth me out. He went through his paces with me, but he hung in there with me, and we had a great time going up and down the road together. We played a lot of gigs for like 4 years together.
And we're here with guitars, but I've seen you mostly play bass.
Yes, that's true. Yes, I'm a bass player mainly, but I've been playing more guitar lately. Yeah.
And other instruments too, as you do? Because
I can fiddle my way around a keyboard or a piano, and I can play a few drum beats, but it's mostly bass and guitar.
So we have like these two passions of yours, music and weather reporting.
Yes.
Is there some sort of synergy? Do they meet up somewhere for you?
Yes, well, I'm planning on making them meet up somewhere, because I find that recently, when I play guitar, when I play bass, I play totally different music, but when I play guitar, I play a lot of like relaxing, you know, pretty chords. And I'd like to, and I notice that with people in the winter, especially, and the weather in general, you know, it can also cause a lot of anxiety for people and upset. Some people have gotten in car accidents in the winter, and other people, you know, it just, the low light depresses them and stuff. And so I would like to create music that kind of helps people, either if they're depressed, kind of bring up their mood a little bit or help them feel a little better, or if they're anxious, to calm them a little bit. I want to find a way to take music that I naturally write and maybe kind of put that out to my weather audience. Pretty open chords, you know, I really enjoy listening to them.
Two more.
And would like to write some music that could share that with other people.
Open chords, open hearts.
Yes, there you go. I like it.
The Clark Art Institute's latest exhibit, Promenades on Paper, 18th Century French Drawings from the Bibliothèque de France, looks to expand viewers' understanding of art and its purpose during 18th century France. Promenades on Paper features over 80 drawings which depict historic events, costume design, and flora and fauna, many of which are on display for the first time. I spoke with curatorial fellow Sarah Grandin to hear more about the exhibit.
Drawing was not merely the tool, or sort of exclusively the tool, of professional artists such as painters, sculptors, and architects in 18th century France. It also became a practice and a tool for engineers and for amateurs, for art lovers, for children, for scientists. And so because of this, and because of the collecting practices of the BNF, which wasn't interested exclusively in sort of masterpieces by the greatest artists of art history, they were interested in images that served a sort of educational and documentary purpose. And because of that, we get a really wide variety of drawings at our disposal. So we have a couple of really interesting examples in the exhibition that show drawings' capacity to document things and events. Because of course, this is before the advent of photography. So you couldn't just pick up a camera if you wanted to document something, you had to draw it yourself. And so there's an entire portion of the exhibition dedicated to drawing's function in this regard. A favorite of mine is a drawing by Charles Perrocel from 1727, beautifully rendered in different media in red chalk, black chalk, pen and ink. And it captures the precise moment that the Turkish ambassador Mehmed Efendi steps onto the stairs of the Tuileries Palace, which has since been demolished, which no longer exists. He was about to meet with the 11-year-old Louis XV to negotiate the release of enslaved Ottoman citizens who were being held on galleys in the French Mediterranean. So you have this huge historical event, and this is the only image we have that documents this precise moment in the diplomatic visit, because this drawing was supposed to serve as a preparatory drawing for a tapestry that was never made. So all we have is this drawing. So it's incredibly precious in the way that it captures an event that is sort of so important to history.
One thing that I was reading that interested me in this exhibit is that it showcases the evolution of drawing outside of that academic setting. So can you speak to that transition about different tools and methods that were used in order to make art happen outside of academia?
Yes. So we begin the exhibition with what I kind of like to refer to it as bait, this really, really stunning academic drawing of a male nude by Greuze, this really accomplished French painter. And that's the kind of drawing that students at the Royal Academy of Painting and Sculpture would have produced as part of their study. So that's what we think of when we think of 18th century French drawings, if we're familiar with the practice. So we have, for example, an entire wall in the exhibition dedicated to drawings by amateurs, including one of my favorite drawings in the exhibition, a drawing by Marie Clotilde de France, who was a princess. And at the age of 14, she visited the print cabinet. And afterwards, she gave this drawing that she herself produced, and it was preserved by the keeper of the print cabinet. And we now have it today, this beautiful landscape drawing that she produced at the age of 14. So her facility in drawing exemplifies the fact that noble, elite, and sort of royal children were learning how to draw as part of their sort of regular instruction. And this include, courses with accomplished artists, but they also often studied after prints and drawings. And so print became a really important element in the explosion of drawing, collecting, and production in the 18th century. People who wanted to learn how to draw could buy drawing manuals. And so we have works in the exhibition that reflect that practice. And then drawing was, of course, a very important tool for architects, for engineers, for scientists, and also for artists who specialized in the decorative arts. So we have an entire panel and a sort of entire wall in the exhibition that shows drawings that would have been proposed to Louis XV so that he could select new furnishings and new decorative objects such as silver candelabra or carpeted folding screens. So drawing definitely busted out of the academy and was used in many contexts in the period.
All month long, we'll mark Women's History Month by celebrating the influence of women on creativity, culture, and community in Western New England. And we're kicking off this series with our next story. When Shayla Kuhn found herself in a homeless shelter in 2014, the idea of giving up on her dream to open a bakery was the last thing on her mind. Kuhn used that time to write up the business plan for what would become Hot Oven Cookies. Specializing in fresh-baked gourmet cookies and inventive flavors, Hot Oven has grown from a food truck to a storefront in Springfield, and Kuhn is now drawing up plans to franchise the business. Connecting Point's Brian Sullivan visited the bakery at Bicentennial Plaza in Springfield and brings us the story.
For anyone with low impulse control for sweets, specifically savory sweet specialty cookies whose selection exceeds 1,000 varieties, the prep kitchen for these tasty treats might not be the place to be. But that's where we found ourselves on a Wednesday morning with Shayla Kuhn and her daughter Janae. The resistance to the allure of the sweets is strong with mother and daughter. What drives them is work ethic and focus. After all, this operation started as just some ideas written on a notepad in a homeless shelter only a few years ago.
From the beginning, it's been extremely hard. There's been struggles, there's been hills, but there's been a lot of valleys. And just to keep working really hard through every single one and work out the kinks is really the root and the basis for who we are. Without a work ethic, I mean, this is cookies, right? It seems like it's a no-brainer, it's easy. There's a lot of work that goes into this. I mean, on production day alone on Monday, I make thousands of pounds of cookies dough by myself. Thousands. So it seems like it's kind of frivolous and kind of like cutesy, but it's a lot of work that goes into it.
With over 1,000 types of cookies in their arsenal, it would be impossible to have them all available at any given time. They may not even go through all of them in a year's time, but they do have a method for what they put out for their customers.
Every week, we put out 3 brand new ones, hence we call them the weeklies, because they're only available that week. They'll always are our signature cookies, and those never change. They're customer favorites, with quite a few of them having been with us since 2017. So those are not going to change. And we've just added to them as our customers have requested, and as we've seen that that interest in a particular flavor, if it's that good, we'll add it to the always.
And as would be expected, customer satisfaction is a top priority here, which might explain the high volume of hand-squeezed lemonade that they keep in stock. It might not be the beverage one would expect to pair with cookies, but it's a fan favorite in this unique cookie depot. One other unique feature is the work relationship that Shayla Coon shares with her daughter. Of her 7 children, Janae puts in the most hours with mom, and the rapport is very businesslike, with an undercurrent of love and respect, of course.
To be perfectly honest, the model from inception to creation and execution is very strict. I have a model to follow, and it doesn't matter who's there. They're going to execute it exactly the way I put it, only because of our franchise expectations in the future. So it was really great because I was able to train her in the model that we will be training other people. And the fact that she really likes it and she's really, really good at it, it makes it really fun. As a matter of fact, we're opening another store and I'm going to miss her because she's going to be the one that's going to be doing the other store and I'll be here. And so I'm going to miss that banter and the dynamics of the morning. But it's phenomenal. And to watch her be part of Legacy, it's even better.
Their sights may be set on expansion and franchise, but Shayla Coon hasn't let that distract her from where the store is now. Well, at least where it was when we stopped by.
The first storefront was actually a cookie truck in 2017. They went brick and mortar in 2018 in downtown Springfield. The next move was uptown here to Bicentennial Plaza in 2020, and the fan base has followed them every step of the way.
So, do the 3 rules of real estate apply to this business? Yes and no.
Depending on what your specialty is and how good you are at it, it doesn't always matter. Because since the beginning, wherever we've been is where the customers are. So whenever we post or we'll tell people where we are, they show up. But to maximize revenue and potential, looking for a location that works for you is obviously a good choice.
Every week, Connecting Point explores the creativity, culture, and community that make us Western New England. But it doesn't stop there. You can find us online anytime for exclusive features and content. In this week's digital exclusive, Hot Oven Cookies owner Shayla Coon shares how she sees her business as a ministry of love from the community it calls home.
Because a lot of our customers don't just come in here to get a cookie. They come in here to get condolences. They come in here to just let go of something that they're holding on to. They come in here to get advice. They come in here to get all sorts of things.
You can find that digital exclusive online right now at nepm.org/connectingpoint. The Black Legacy Project advances social solidarity and equity through the power of music. After making its formal debut in the Berkshires last year and curating a catalog of 15 songs with artists of different backgrounds across the country, the group is officially launching a touring band. I spoke with co-directors Todd Mack and Trey Carlisle to learn more about this latest venture.
I feel the Black Legacy Project is like the most meaningful Black history project I've ever done in my life because it allows us to really revisit these histories of race relations in communities across the nation and see how there is Black history in every community. There's a history of race relations in every community, and there's a need to honor that history and histories of solidarity of Black and white folks working together, which is a history that's not really talked about. So what we will do is when we select the 7 communities that we chose to launch the project in, to really just represent the diversity of the American experience. Amongst selecting those 7, we would research the history of race relations in each of these communities. So when we traveled to Northwest Arkansas and the Ozarks, the theme was After Sundown. We had community members discuss the history of sundown towns, and we facilitated the roundtable discussions in historic, sundown towns in the Ozarks. And then we're excited to take the project to the Mississippi Delta next week, where the theme is I Am the Blues, and we'll have community members discuss how this musical genre, blues music, which shaped and influenced the American music landscape, is deeply tied to the Black American experience and how to honor the people and communities behind that.
This project, it really feels like you all are collecting these stories across the country, and it's really interesting to see all of the different ways Black history has created American history, right? And so when we last spoke, you had 6 songs recorded by local artists, but now there's 15 to date that came out of this. How do you plan on sharing this collection?
We'll be releasing 2 albums, the first of which will come out in April of this year, and will include 12 of what ultimately will be 24 songs that are recorded for the project. And then in addition to the album, the second album will come out probably in the first part of 2024. And then in addition to the two albums, we're producing a docuseries of the project. So each community that the project travels to launch in, each of those 7 communities is its own episode. So their pilot episode is already completed, and we're in production on the communities that we've been to. And then the third way that we'll get it out there is through a touring band to perform the 24 songs that are recorded in the project, and we hope to have that launched by this summer of 2023.
And so now that you've seen this response nationwide and on the local level, how does it make you feel to see this project have so many different levels coming to fruition?
On the one hand, it's fantastic and amazing to see it grow the way that it has. And on the other hand, we're not really surprised by it. We're extremely grateful for it. And really our goal and objective here is to just really engage in the conversation. We see this as just a conversation, whether it's a literal conversation or a musical conversation. And the band, I think, is going to be a really powerful tool in being able to do that on the ground in dozens and dozens and dozens of communities around the country.
As well as the Black LP documentary series, which will tell the stories of the communities that we travel to, the workshops that we do in communities and school events as a result of these follow-up events. And from that, these conversations inspiring folks to reflect on what can they do individually and in their own communities to help advance building a world and a community and nation where everybody belongs.
You can find an extended version of my conversation with Todd and Trey on our website. And that does it for this edition of Connecting Point. Remember, you can always find all of the stories that you saw in this episode, as well as exclusive features, digital-only content, and so much more online anytime at nepm.org/connectingpoint. Our thanks to the town of Hadley for hosting us today. And please be sure to join us again every week right here for more stories of the creativity, culture, and community that make us Western New England. I'm Saidalis Bauer. Thanks for watching and take care.
Support for Connecting Point is provided by our contributing viewers.
Patti LaBelle hosts an all-star lineup, uniting the superstars of 70s Soul on PBS.
Always and forever.
Meet the superstars of 70s Soul next on NEPM.
Save the date for the return of the NEPM Wine and Food Lovers Weekend, March 10th and 11th at MGM in Springfield.
And we're enjoying every bite and sip.
On Friday, it's the region's largest benefit wine, beer, and food tasting. Sample hundreds of wines and craft beers and taste specialty foods from local chefs. Then on Saturday, enjoy a gourmet multi-course meal paired with fine wines. Raise a glass to support public media. Tickets available now at nepm.org/wine.
Just like our travels, PBS has given us a broader view of the world.
And that is why Larry and I have agreed to include our PBS station in my will.
Consider including New England Public Media in your future plans. Contact NEPM for more information at nepm.org.
It's important to keep PBS alive, and this is one way that we can do our share.
Chicopee. The ear? Yes, that's right.
As schools match wits, Pitts area high schools against each other in a fun, competitive quiz show.
Minichog.
Strings.
Strings, yes.
Play along with us on social media and tune in Saturday night at 7 as Minichog takes on Chicopee Comprehensive on As Schools Match Wits.
We've read the book and seen the movie. Now experience The Hours, the opera. Starring Renee Fleming, Joyce DiDonato, and Kelly O'Hara, enjoy the world premiere production of the Kevin Puts and Greg Pierce opera, The Hours, on great performances at the Met.
Watch The Hours March 17th at 9 on NEPM. New England Public Media is sponsored in part by our contributing viewers and by Mass Humanities presents Crossroads, Change in Rural America, a Smithsonian exhibition at the Great Falls Discovery Center, Turners Falls. Information about this national traveling exhibition, companion events, and performances at greatfallsdiscoverycenter.org.
People's Bank. When life gets real, it helps to have a bank that's ready for real situations. People's Bank offers a variety of ways to handle banking, even from the comfort of your own home. More at bank@peoples.com/simple. People's Bank.
You're watching New England Public Media on WGBY Springfield.
Miss Hayward, I heard you had returned to Sanditon.
If I lose my inheritance, I lose my independence. You will find the love you deserve.
The young woman has a right to choose her own destiny.
The new season of Sanditon premieres March 19th on